absolutely brilliant and beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about the upcoming transit of Jupiter into Cancer. And I just want to start out this video by, let's just take a deep breath together. And just let it out. Let's take a minute to just be with what is happening here, because Jupiter as one of our tutor planets, and if you're in my classes or in my school, you know that the tutor planets help us unfold the lessons that the professor planets, we're talking Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, are setting on the syllabus. They help us unfold what we need to do to learn and to align with that. And Jupiter is taking on a big role in our tutor energy, and it is not one that is quick moving. It is not one that is high flying, but it is instead one that is calling us home, not just to our physical homes, but calling us home back to ourselves. And it is a big deal. Now, before we jump into this particular breakdown of this transit, I want you to make sure that first and foremost, you have your particular chart, because I can give you this beautiful general reading, but that is what it is. It is a general reading. If you really want to do yourself a solid, make sure you have your own chart so that you're looking at and you're speaking the language of astrology and how this is going to happen in your own particular life. Your astrology is the best astrology. Now, if you don't have a chart, please click in my description box down below and get one. And then you can check out my video if you're still a little bit stuck on how to actually find this transit in your chart, because I want you to have the very best understanding of this that you are available to have. And if you want to go deeper, you want to know how to speak this language of astrology, come and join us in GAFA. That's my astrology school where I teach you to speak the language of astrology. So if that's you, whatever it is, baseline, get your chart, okay? All right, kicking off here on June 9th, taking us all the way 1 year. We're going to June 30th, 2026. We will see tutor Jupiter moving into the vibration of Cancer. Now, I really want to give you some context into how this is working with our professors. The professors set the syllabus. They say, this is what we're doing. This is what we are working on. All of our outer planets, our professors, are moving into masculine energies. This is a big deal, and this is something to take note of. This is especially a massive thing for women to be taking note of, okay? Because it means for the first time in a very long time, we are in a masculine container, which will mean that feminine energy, emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence is going to lead and it's going to bloom. Now, this is going to do it in all of us. Where feminine energy lives, it is coming alive. Now, as we experience tutor Jupiter coming here, what's happening is that this transit is not just touching the calendar. It's touching our souls. It's touching our spirits. Jupiter is this expanding planet that touches and expands whatever it is next to. It teaches, it leads us, it guides us, it moves us into the place where our experience needs to blossom into wisdom, and where we share our wisdom with those of us around us so that we all can blossom. As it comes here into Cancer, we are being called to bring our attention to home, to safety. Does my nervous system feel safe? Can my nervous system handle high levels of safety? Or have I worked myself into such frantic exhaustion that all I can do is handle panic? We're going to be looking at concepts of mothering. We're going to look at concepts of emotional and intuitive intelligence. We're going to be looking at the things that are in our memories, to include the memories that our bodies, our original homes, are holding on to. And we are going to look at the way that we women, the way that we connect with women, whether it be our mothers, our sisters, our friends, tribes of women around us. This is a transit that says, let's go home. Let's go home, not just to the physical space, but certainly to the physical space, but really to ourselves, to a softness that is in each of us. It is innate. The parts of us that crave love, that crave comfort, that crave knowing I can unfold and I can be in my being in safety. So if you have been having this experience of high levels of stress, which I bet some of you have, if you've been having this experience of striving, I'm holding it all together, I'm holding it together for other people. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm building. I'm always going. I'm providing containment for other people. This next year is not about that. This next year with this transit gives us the space to rest, to rebuild, to remember what truly holds each of us in our homes. And this is the original home. So we're going to take a look at this transit and see further how it works, and you can break this down and use this in this video. And I've also invited a friend to look at the practicalities of home. How can you use Feng Shui by the elements in your chart to actually create a physical space of safety and alignment for you to travel with in this next year? This is a big deal. So first of all, before we go into all of that, and you'll find your beautiful Feng Shui video at the end here, let's take a step back. Right? This is the brilliance of astrology, is that we can pattern track. Let's take a step back, because Jupiter always travels in cycles. That's what I love about the astrology. So the last time that we saw Jupiter in Cancer, we go back to the years between 2013 and 2014. We can go back to the years between 2001 and 2002. And I want you to go back into that time, into your life and your astrology. What was happening? What was unfolding for you, right? Take a minute, pause this video, put me on pause. Hopefully you pause me with a cute looking, frame of face. I'll do this so that when you pause it, I look good while I'm looking at you, right? Pause. What was happening in your emotional life during those windows? What was happening with you around your own feminine energy? What was happening for you at that time around your home, around things with your mother, around connections with other women? Did your family change at that time? Did you move? Did you feel some kind of shift in your own sense of security? Were you at a space where maybe you were even craving deeper connection, whether or not you knew how to ask for that? Were you discovering something in your roots? What was happening for you at that time? I encourage you and I invite you to really take a pause and take a moment and go back into your own story, because the brilliant thing is that we just live our patterns, and we just live our patterns by cycles. But as this new cycle is presenting itself, we are hopefully bringing new wisdom, new experience, and new insight so that we can have a different experience, a more lush, a more needed experience with what this energy is bringing in. Now, Cancer being ruled by the moon, this is something that is deeply emotional. We cannot separate being connected to the lunar energy that is happening here. And the lunar energy does not shout. It moves in a whisper. It moves in a quiet whisper, that still small voice inside each of us that is saying, I need a sip of air, I need rest, I need pleasure, I need containment, I need safety. Here in Jupiter, it can stir up these old feelings. It causes us to reflect, where did I come from? Not only where did I come from in this last year, what kind of beautiful progress have I made, or what kind of progress have I made in my life, but let me back up. Let me get into that childhood. Where do I come from? What am I? Who am I? Who are my lineage of people? And how does that play into the story of who and what I am right now? It invites us to look at our emotional foundations, right? That certainly starts from how did we get on this planet until now, but also how am I creating and what have I done to create my own emotional foundations at this particular point as well. And Jupiter working as a tutor planet to help us get a different perspective and shift this and kind of put a magnifying glass on this particular area. It's going to expand this area. It is going to expand this Cancerian area of your chart. It's going to get that big magnifying glass on it so that you can look around and you're not going to be able to pretend like you don't see it. Right? We're going to go, oh no, okay, under the magnifying glass, this is what it is. This is what I'm seeing. So it's got this opportunity to, through magnification, bring us to a place of emotional healing, bring us to a place of the healing of the past. It can at first bring us to a place of complete emotional overwhelm as we see what is the container that we have been living in. If we've been avoiding our needs, if we've been avoiding tending to the feminine energy within each of us, if we have been avoiding our homes, what we have also been avoiding, the magnifying glass can make bigger and can make more overwhelming. And this is not about punishment, and it's not about power moves. This is a transit that is about moving with how the heart needs to move. It's very honest. It's very pure. And I think that as we experience this transit, it's a year to fortify your Cancerian area of your chart. It's like, let the core of who you are, where you derive safety and comfort, and you live and you move and you have your being from an honest place of your own home, this gets to be strengthened and it gets to come into bloom. But I think we can also make absolutely no qualms and have no doubts that with our professor planets crystallizing us into a masculine container, the question of how does our feminine energy function is going to be of massive question, because the way that we relate here as well, and we allow the soft and we allow things to come to us, this is not only the story of the lineage and the legacy that was left for us, but what we will leave going forward as well, right? So however slowly we are going to come to it, we need to be honest. And a big piece of honesty as this transit is approaching is that so many of us, from the denial of that feminine energy, from the denial of honestly taking care of home, from the heart space, from that quiet whisper that says, I don't want to push like this. We're tired, right? We're tired. We're not just physically tired, but we're soul tired. And we've been told in this last 20 years, while we had more energy in the feminine signs, to push harder, work faster, keep going, even when we're bleeding emotionally, keep going, right? And that is the legacy of living that has created almost a hyper masculinity and a doing instead of a receiving out of our feminine energy. It's that hustle obsessed culture, right? And I too have been victim to it and participant in it as well. So what happens now when Jupiter comes into Cancer? It says no more. No more. It asks us to remember the magic and participate in the magic of our feminine. It's your softness, not your weakness. And many of us are feeling this already. You're feeling that call towards, I want to rest, I want to create, I want to play, I want this to be easier. You know, this conception, it might already be up at your front door where you realize that rest is productive, except for when you rest, a feeling of guilt is coming to the surface, right? I want you to have all of the deliciousness of this transit where you realize that the rest, there's power in your pause here. And this is something that we are being called to, because this is where we are going to have the opportunity to find home for each of us, right? We're going to find home in our own beings, in our own bodies, how we create space in our physical homes and our own bodies, how we create space to come home and re-nurture or re-parent the parts of us that we have been taking broken and sharded into other situations that have created more lack. It's also going to be the place here in our bellies and in our womb space, right? For some of us, where when we're coming home into this feminine energy, Cancer is a feminine energy, that we're going to relearn how we create life through stillness, through the abundance of receiving without guilt, without needing to earn it. We're going to realize that you are wonderfully whole, divine, holy, and worth it and valuable from this space. And it's an absolutely beautiful transit, because in it, I think what is born of it on the other side is a reconnection with your emotions, a reconnection with your intuition, this space where we realize when cortisol is shooting up the back of our bodies because we're going to be over explaining something, and we're in the space of bubbling guilt because it's not okay for me to slow down and it's not okay for me to be as I am. I think that this is a space where we get to reclaim all of this through a fair amount of ease. There will be this conception as well, I think, for each of us, and you will have to decide and see where this is at in your own chart and in your own experience, where when we are resting or when we are easy or when we are calling in and engaged in the creativity, how quickly we are to call ourselves lazy. And I would like to reframe that under this transit for you as divine ease. Divine ease. Jupiter as a great teacher, Cancer as a great feminine energy, divine ease. Ease that says you are allowed to soften, you are allowed to nourish, and you are allowed to be held, and you don't have to do it alone. But that brings me to what else will this transit magnify? It will magnify our connection with our bodies, first of all, and the space, and it will magnify our connection with women. Let's talk about this body piece, because when Cancer is activated, we're called to clean house, right? We got to clean house. We have to go home and clean house. That's a very Cancerian principle. And with Jupiter's big old energy, anything that is out of alignment or is not where it's supposed to be, again, we're going to see it under this magnifying glass. And it's going to start to really feel too loud to be ignored. You know, have I just been surviving? And I love this. I heard this person talking about how the energy works, especially when transits are ramping up, that things will start to show up around us that are really pointing to the transit that's coming in, and we think, I don't need that. That's not important. That's just some extra. And as it gets louder and louder and louder, we go, oh my God, I need that. I need to engage with that. I need to breathe that in. So let me ask you, how many things pointing to your home, your body, your temple, your femininity are starting to show up around you? And have you engaged them yet? Have you invited them in just yet? Let this be the time where you get your home in order. Get this body, my beautiful friends, in order. What's going on with your health? When's the last time you had a health checkup, right? Are you regularly constipated because you've got so much cortisol going that you're stressed? Is your home feeling like it is the most divine place? And as Jupiter comes over it, it is going to expand this, and there's a lushness of energy that you're going to be able to offer out. And your energy is going to be what helps to rearrange the rooms and the world around you. Wow. Whatever it is, there's a softness that's got to be put back in the body routine of yours so that it can flourish out, right? Your body's your original home. How are you doing living in it? And this is not so much Venusian. This is not so much about how does the body look, but certainly this can be shaped depending on, do you have Cancer in your first house? But this is more about how does it feel? Are you strong in your body, but you lack mobility, right? You lack the flexibility. You can bench press 350 pounds, but you can't touch your toes. Would you feel more stretchy and more nice if you could have that level of depth and connection, right? What does it feel like when you sit? You sit on that ball, you roll your hips. I'm all about the rolling the hips right now. What does it feel like when you're doing that and you're moving it? Does it feel crunchy? How do you feel when you're moving the most vital portions of your body that stack everything else up? Does it feel nourished? Does it feel deep? Does it feel juicy? Are you feeding yourself well? These are the questions that this transit is going to bring to the table for us to ask. Now, the other place that it calls us home to that I think we are going to reset legacies of this world by doing it is that it will call us back to women. And it will call women back to women. Right? What is your relationship with women? What is your relationship with feminine energy? What is your relationship with being in connection and trust and safety with other women? I know a massive amount of people, especially those who are hitting those midlife transits, that the call back to women to literally save your own life will be something that we will see in mass amount. But in all of the movement of our bodies and our calling back to the space where we can realign feminine energies, however that happens for you, male or female. The call to be in and within the feminine will continue to rise. So as you think about this over this next year and you're renovating this particular area of your life, the Cancerian portion, where your inner life, your intuition, and your softness are starting to be reformed, and you're answering the questions of how you create home or what's happening at home, I invite you to think about your connection to women and how that helps you reset a legacy of what you'd like to leave to the world next. I had a wonderfully profound conversation with another astrologer who's just a little bit more senior than I am. She's a bit more seasoned. And we had this wonderful conversation where I was sharing my perimenopause journey with her and talking to her about that. And she looked at me flat out and she said, if anyone had ever talked to me about perimenopause, if any other women had ever talked to me about perimenopause, I would probably have still been married because my husband was actually a very good person and I had no idea what was going on. I listened to a conversation in the grocery store the other day between two women who didn't know each other. They just happened to be in the same aisle. And they had a basic conversation just about life, about living. No one was bitching. Nobody was complaining. Nobody was putting anybody down. They were just two women talking to each other. And it was like watching the strands of nourishment between them. And they both walked away with a little bit of an uplifted glow, right? It was absolutely the most brilliant thing to see. And I think that Jupiter in Cancer will continue to expand this as where we continue to make these connections with other feminine energy that brings us home to our own sanctuaries. And then we can pour our cups out to help other people. Now, something really practical, because I am a Taurus, I do think about practicalities, like just feminine energy wants to be in places that feel safe and secure and delicious to participate in, right? And again, this is if you are a male or a female, the feminine side of you wants to be someplace luscious, okay? So what is it like to have your home feel in harmony, feel inviting, feel like there is wisdom and softness and safety and nurturing into your space? Because Jupiter in Cancer is going to thrive when your space is emotionally and energetically aligned. It just will. Your body is going to open and unfold. Your hips are going to open and unfold in a way that is inviting receptivity, that is inviting safety, that is creating life when your space is as energetically aligned as it can be. And one of the ways that you can do that is Feng Shui. Man, I love it. I have always loved it, but I found a little bit of a deeper love for it this year, looking at some of the transits that were coming. So I invited a good friend over to share a little bit about how we can use Feng Shui in our homes to realign the energies for what feels right and juicy and necessary for each of us. You know, for example, maybe you are adding a water element somewhere in your home because it's what you need. You need a fountain, you need a mirror, you need them in the right spot, you know, and this is helping with some of that emotional clarity or energy that is coming in. There are ways to yet again group in the spaces that allow your feminine energy, that allow your legacy, that allow your safety, that allow your unfolding into the courage to look back into your childhood or to support the childhood of maybe a partner, right? Or your children that are in your home right now, or a business or a project that you are working on, or to support old stories that come from a very immature, emotionally unintelligent place to begin to flower and blossom into something that is much wiser as this transit continues. So I would love to invite you to just stick around with us for a few minutes, meet Sharon, listen to what we've got to offer a little bit on Feng Shui. And in every video that I do, take what is right for you, leave the rest. Please share with me in the conversation. And I love it. I keep calling it the conversation section down below, which I think is such a beautiful thing because it's not just a comment section. You guys are not leaving a comment and I don't see it and I don't talk to you. It's the conversation section down there. And I want to also thank you for that because many of you I see engaging each other in these beautiful conversations down there. So leave some information down there. Where does this resonate? What are you taking from the video? What kind of feng shui are you bringing into your life? Our expert is going to meet with us right now, Miss Sharon, and talk you through it. My beautiful friends, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful Jupiter in Cancer transit, because what you're going to create right now is going to absolutely reshape your legacy, your family bonds, the way that you bond and you connect with other people, the way that you have abundance and you understand how much abundance comes from nurturing and care, and your ability for your physical body and system to receive that. So I can't wait to see what you create, and I will be with you every month and every week talking about all of the different aspects, transits, and connections that Jupiter will be making as it continues to travel on its journey through Cancer. All right, beautiful friends, tuck in and let's enjoy a little feng shui.
Hi, my name is Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our New Year's series on learning to work with the four elements from a feng shui perspective. Along with setting New Year's resolutions, let's work to bring in some harmony and balance as well. I was excited when Stormie asked me to put this together because we believe that much of the content created can leave people feeling at the mercy of everything happening around them, but we see it very differently. I think it's a matter of shifting your point of focus, so not being so other focused and giving too much attention to what's happening around us. Let's learn to check in with ourselves and ask, what do I need in this moment? I work with unseen energies and help others understand their meaning and how best to work with them. Feng Shui is an over 4,000-year-old practice and is summed up as the Chinese art of placement. And this just means how you arrange your home or any space you spend prolonged time in is either lifting and supporting you or could be depleting and weighing you down. The goal of Feng Shui is to create an environment that feeds and nourishes your spirit. When people find out that I practice Feng Shui, they will bring up something they believe with absolute certainty is wrong or bad about their place. And I want to be really clear, there is nothing bad in Feng Shui. There are things that are not ideal, but nothing is bad. Feng Shui is not about you laying in bed at night feeling doomed because your bed is on the wrong wall. There is enough fear-mongering out there. We don't need to invite it into our homes. I also want to take a minute to talk about why I love working with Stormie when it comes to my astrology. I've been working with her for about 5 years now, and in all that time, she's treated the astrology the way I treat Feng Shui. There's nothing inherently bad. There are just things that need to be understood and worked with so our philosophies align perfectly. Recently, though, I did ask her if my chart was doomed, but she very calmly said, "Your chart is not doomed. Don't listen to all the astrology being talked about. You have this one area that requires your intention. Focus and work on that." With that response, my shoulders dropped and I could breathe. But I realized that I was doing to her what people do to me, worrying unnecessarily when there's just the need for understanding and adjustment. In this series, we're exploring the elements fire, air, water, and earth, and how to use them to not only create sacred spaces, but ways to work with them when you may be feeling all of those emotions and feelings. In Feng Shui, these elements are represented in one form or another in every environment we inhabit. It sometimes surprises people when I take an object and assign an element to it. While some associations are perfect, others are less obvious. For example, if I told you that a candle represented fire, that's pretty obvious. But if I told you that air represented sound, you might need a minute to put that together. These are just two examples of the elements and how they manifest in our physical spaces. So I'll share 3 tips for each element to help you recognize their influence on you and your home. This will allow you to make thoughtful changes to enhance your environment and support your overall well-being. So you know that feeling you have when you enter a sacred space like a temple, church, or meditation center? You instantly become calm, present, and aware that you're leaving the outside world behind. There's this natural understanding that these spaces are a place of presence, sacredness, and stillness. And most don't need to be told to turn their cell phone off or to lower their voices. We feel the shift in these spaces and our behavior responds. And that's what I want to focus on. How we feel in our homes matters. This is where we retreat after being exposed to the outside world. It's where we go to rest, regroup, and restore. It's where we eat, sleep, and connect with our families. Even if you live alone, you're reconnecting with yourself. We need that time and separation from the outside world. So stay with me for a minute. If you share your home with children or a large family, the thought of creating a temple or spa-like atmosphere might seem unrealistic, but that's not what I'm really suggesting. Life is meant to be lived in all of its colors. However, there are ways to encourage and enhance the overall atmosphere of peace and calmness, and it will be felt by everybody in the home. It's not always an intellectual understanding, but it is felt and our behavior responds. These spaces, like your spas and temples, they're crafted with that intention. We can bring that same intentionality into our homes. The front door in Feng Shui is known as the mouth of Qi. And Qi is the life force energy in constant motion around us. You should feel that energetic shift as you cross the threshold to your home, leaving the outside world behind and entering into the inner sanctuary we're looking to create. We don't want to invite too much of the outside world in, like having 24-hour news channels playing in the background for hours. Since air is and relates to sound, we would really benefit from playing soft and soothing music instead. This can help us shift from an overactive headspace into a more feeling grounded state. When we create separation from the outside world, we are much better prepared to face it the next day. We don't always have control over the spaces or people we interact with. People and words represent the fire element, which can sometimes create combustible environments. It's not about trying to control it. It's about learning to adopt the qualities of the water element and become fluid. We can observe what's happening around us without being pulled in by it. We become less reactive or confrontational and learn to go with the flow. And in doing so, we maintain our own emotional stability. When you learn to read and work with the elements, you naturally move towards balance no matter where you are or what's happening around you. Astrology and Feng Shui are sometimes thought as these primitive tools, but our ancestors used them very successfully to navigate critical areas of life, helping us to grow and thrive as a species. These practices have great value, and given the current events, I think we could all benefit from a factory reset. In closing, I want to share my intention for the series. I want us to have fun with it. There is no pressure to perfect everything and no consequence if you don't. Remember, Feng Shui is here to lift and inspire. Most importantly, take what I share about the elements and the principles and trust your intuition. Let it guide you. Most of us practice Feng Shui intuitively without even realizing it. Moving and rearranging things might seem like a practical act, but it's the harmony and joy you feel when everything falls into place and feels just right. So please let me know in the comments how familiar you are with Feng Shui, or if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, my name is Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. Today we're going to talk about recognizing the fire element in your environment. One example would be sunlight filling a room. It sounds lovely, but how does it feel? It depends. A room filled with direct sunlight can feel hot and overwhelming, leaving us irritable and uncomfortable. In contrast, a room with filtered sunlight creates a really pleasant and uplifting feeling. So when an element is out of balance, it can have an impact on how we feel. Like many aspects of life, the elements embody duality, a positive and a negative. So here are a few ways to recognize the fire element in everyday life's tangible items. There is a PDF in the links below. Number 1 would be all types of lighting. They add brightness and energy. Floor and table lamps create warmth, while bright overhead lighting can be harsh. Number 2 would be the red spectrum of colors. Again, they invite warmth and can also invite the intensity of fire. Number 3 would be triangular shapes. They represent that upward energy and movement of fire. Number 4 are fireplaces and candles. They bring warmth and ambiance and create a sense of intimacy. Number 5 would be all things related to animals, like fur, leather, animal patterns even. They embody the essence of that primal energy. And number 6 is pets. They fill a space with vitality and unpredictability, reminding us to be spontaneous. Number 7 is people. Human energy carries the fire element primarily through expressions of passions, creativity, or leadership. Number 8, words. The language we choose can inspire or divide and act as a spark that fuels our communication. Number 9, books. They ignite, again, our passion and intellectual curiosity. And finally, number 10, art. Art depicting any of the items I just mentioned will help a space feel more alive. Practice observing your surroundings and identifying their representation when you begin to working with the elements. Notice how much or how little are in each place. If you notice an abundance of fire, know that it can create hot spots or intense energy. What I love about the fire element is the passion that it represents. Phrases like fuel the fire or ignite the passion perfectly capture the dynamic and motivating energy of fire. So we can incorporate some of these elements to fuel the fire in our lives, but it's important to not go overboard. I've had clients with an excess of animal prints and candles in rooms they love but rarely use. And when I ask how often they might use the space, the answer is usually not often, but I don't know why. They admire it from afar. The room gives off too much heat, similar to being too close to a fire. You instinctively back up and away for your safety, and as a result, these rooms often go underused. So here are 6 ways to use those tangible items to infuse the passion. If you have a home, workspace, or office, choose quotes for your career. Look for those that align with your professional values and goals. Whether they relate to leadership, resilience, or growth, the right quote reminds us to stay motivated and focused. Number 2, A photo of someone whose success you admire can be a powerful reminder of what's possible. Whether it's a mentor, a historical figure, or somebody in your personal life, seeing their image can inspire you to embody the qualities that you respect about them. Number 3, wildlife statues are a powerful symbol. We admire them for the qualities they represent. So, for instance, I have a statue of a white lion with a gold crown at the foot of my desk. It reminds me to be confident and courageous. And I've also added a red heart necklace around its neck to remind me to approach everything I'm doing with love. Number 4, certificates and diplomas. These should be displayed, and I'm always surprised when people tell me they don't even know where they are. These were earned, and seeing them helps to pull the shoulders back and to lift the chin and remember that you have worked to be where you are. You have everything you need and have earned the right to be part of the conversation. Number 5, items in the red spectrum of colors. So, for example, you could use a red picture frame to hold the photo of the person you admire. Decor pieces, again, are a great way to bring in the elements' colors. Number 6 would be artwork or photos representing what strength looks like for you. I have a picture of myself rappelling down a 30-foot cliff in the Mojave Desert. Even now, I look at it and think, you did that. And it reminds me of what I'm capable of. So another area we'll look at is the bedroom. It's given special attention because it is the area that connects us to passion. Whether you share the space with a romantic partner or not, you should still create that feeling of intimacy. It reflects your relationship with yourself, and deserves that same thoughtfulness. So, unfortunately, TVs have become a standard fixture in bedrooms, but they take away from the room's intended purpose for rest and connection. Their presence competes for your attention even when they're turned off. When on, they take away from the quiet moments of reflection and meaningful conversation or intimacy. So, here are 6 ways to create intimacy. Number 1, create soft lighting with candles and lower watt bulbs. Number 2, add some of those deeper shades of the red family. So you can go with a mauve. You don't have to have a flaming red color, but you can go with some spectrum of that red. Number 3 would be artwork that represents love, however that looks for you as an individual or for you and your partner. If you live by yourself, you kind of have the luxury of doing whatever you want and putting whatever you want in it. Number 4, if it is a shared space, it's important that both partners feel represented. Men tend to give up the design with saying things like, I don't really care. And I don't know, maybe they don't, but that's usually an intellectual response. So whether he knows it or not, he is feeling the room's energy. So inviting him into the design process creates a stronger connection for him to the space. Number 5, wedding photos. They're a beautiful reminder of where the journey began, but it's important to display moments from throughout the years in your relationship. So whether a casual snapshot or a milestone celebration, these images remind you of the love and growth you've both experienced over time. And number 6, place family photos in rooms that celebrate family life. The bedroom is about your identity or the identity of the couple. And it's also a gentle reminder to respect the privacy and maintain healthy boundaries. These examples are to just give you some ideas, but they're just examples. These are your spaces, so relax and play around by changing some of the things and how they make you feel. I love the fire element because it reminds us we're alive. We can use the powerful element to light a fire under ourselves, our work, our life, or even a goal. Feel your space and let it tell you what it needs. And use the fire element anytime you're trying to motivate yourself to achieve anything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, my name is Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to look at the dual nature of the fire element directed at us from the outside world. On one hand, it can create a sense of urgency, causing us to react swiftly with intensity. And on the other hand, it can inspire and motivate us. Our point of focus dictates the experience we're having. So let's start with the less than desirable side of the fire element. It manifests in many modern cues today that are designed to trigger our primal responses. That's why the color red is used. It's looking to grab our attention and tapping into that fight or flight response that we have. In addition, we can have news alerts with imminent threats or emergencies designed to cause anxiety. They want us to believe that we need to tune in or stay tuned in if we were looking to quote unquote survive. These tactics are strategically crafted to exploit our basic survival instincts, making us more reactive and susceptible. Marketing strategies play on these primitive fears, creating a constant state of urgency that overwhelms us with taglines like "Act now before it's too late," "Urgent, immediate action required," "Last chance opportunity slipping away," and my favorite, "Don't delay or you'll regret it." The last one is a big assumption on their part. Studies show that these strategies work, so we're bombarded by them. It's become the new normal, but there is nothing normal about it. Understanding their motives allows us to manage our reactions by avoiding buying into this, calculated chaos they're trying to create. More often than not, it's not even about what's in our best interest. The empowering part of this awareness is that we can choose what commands our attention and decide how to respond. We can choose to lead or be led, but the choice is ours. When I used to drop my high school kids off, I would yell out the window, "Be a leader, not a follower." It became a running joke, and luckily my kids had a great sense of humor about it. But behind the joke, I truly meant it. Here are 3 ways to manage the external world and stay grounded. Number 1, filter the noise. Recognize that not every notification or alert is urgent, and ask yourself, does this require my immediate attention? By giving yourself permission to filter what you feel is important, you minimize that reactive stress response that constant notifications can create. Number 2, create limits. Set aside times for social media, news, or email rather than letting them dominate your day. Dedicated times keep them from invading your mental space and allows you to engage more purposefully in your day. Number 3, stay connected to purpose. Align your daily action with your bigger goals. When you operate from a place of purpose, external distractions have less power over you. We should look to future-proof our lives by engaging in activities that our future self will thank us for. Here's one of my favorite quotes. I wish I could remember who said it, but it completely changed my perspective on how I spent my time. The question to ask in every moment is, am I making the best use of my time? Is what I'm doing improving something or moving something forward? If not, it's probably not a good use of my time. There was no drama, no urgency, just a simple question to ask of myself. If what I'm doing doesn't serve my present or my future, I stop and I choose something that does. Now, does this mean that I get it right every time? No, I can still go down the rabbit hole of social media, but not to the degree that I did. It's not about perfection, but it's more about awareness. So let's explore the inspiring side of the fire element. We see this element in its purest form when we watch the Olympics. It isn't just about seeing incredible feats of athleticism. It's about witnessing the power of human resilience and passion. These athletes commit 4 years of their lives enduring rigorous training and countless challenges for one chance to stand among the top 3. They overcome injuries and setbacks and personal challenges. Their unwavering focus inspires us to push our own limits. We're watching individuals who've committed to future-proofing their lives every day. And there's no guarantee of success, but they show up anyway. Watching a great commencement address is another one. They often go viral because they strike a deep chord within us. A powerful commencement address captures the essence of aspiration and transformation, speaking directly to our core desire to succeed and have a meaningful impact. They articulate feelings and dreams that many of us hold but don't always express. And here's the part I find fascinating. When we watch or experience powerful motivators, our brain undergoes several fundamental changes rooted in neuroscience. When we experience something that excites us or inspires us, the brain releases endorphins, which are associated with the pleasure reward. This dopamine boost motivates us to take action. The limbic system is the part of the brain that governs emotional responses. Strong emotions and reactions, such as awe, excitement, and joy, trigger inspiration and a desire to act. These reactions also reinforce memory formation, making us more likely to remember these experiences and be influenced by them. We move closer to what's possible when we constantly choose where we put our attention. Here are 3 ways to invite inspiration. Number 1, listen to motivational speakers. TED Talks are some of my favorite, and you can watch them for free. Just search TED Talks and they'll be the first thing that comes up. These talks highlight individuals who have dedicated years to their craft or mission, overcoming significant challenges and making a meaningful impact. They encourage us to think differently about the world and our world specifically. Number 2, podcasts. They're another great way to get some inspiration, especially when you need to be mobile. We can usually have some unconscious or maybe intrusive thoughts while, commuting, exercising, or just running errands. So take advantage of this time to expand or unwind. One of my favorites is How I Built This. It tells the humble beginnings behind some of the most successful companies we know of today. At some point in their pursuit, they had every reason to give up, but they didn't. Uplifting music is also a great option. Number 3 would be read the biographies of successful people and learn their stories. It helps to see that they also dealt with self-doubt and insecurities. The difference is that they chose to push through the fear, probably fueled by passion. And if books don't speak to you, look up motivational quotes. I look them up all the time for motivation and write them in a journal, and I have pages filled with them. So what influence are you under? This is a powerful question to ask ourselves. As you move through the day, remember you have choice. Stay connected to your intentions, and you'll move in the direction of them. The more mindful you are of what you consume, the less time you spend in unwanted emotional states. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on leveraging and navigating the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to talk about the dual nature of the fire element in the emotional body. An excess of fire can lead to irritability, stress, and burnout. And it can also affect our emotional balance, causing frustration or anger. Physically, it may result in symptoms like insomnia, inflammation, or digestive issues. On the positive side, it fosters warmth and deep connection, creating a sense of belonging and support. It leads to confidence and improves mental and physical health. Strong positive connections help us feel more energized and motivated, affecting our overall well-being. Finding balance with the fire element is essential for emotional and physical health. The energy we bring to every interaction shapes the outcome. And as I shared in the video on recognizing the fire element in your environment, words represent fire. When we approach others with respect, there's a strong chance that interaction will go well. We manage a variety of relationships every day, each bringing its challenges. In personal relationships, old issues can surface during new conflicts, making them harder to resolve and deepening the divide. Professionally, receiving only negative feedback diminishes morale and creativity and becomes a culture of doing the bare minimum. But the most challenging is our relationship with ourselves. We quickly support others, but can be harsh and unforgiving towards ourselves. On the bright side, all of these require the same foundation to be healthy. Don Miguel Ruiz shares 4 powerful principles in his book, The 4 Agreements, which I highly recommend. Number 1 is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean and avoid using words to speak against yourself or others. Use the power of your words to inspire and uplift. Number 2, don't take anything personally. What others say and do is a reflection of their reality, not yours. When you stop taking things personally, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering caused by others' actions. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Avoid making assumptions about others or situations. Instead, ask questions and communicate clearly to avoid misunderstandings, drama, and confusion. And number 4, always do your best. Your best will vary from moment to moment depending upon your circumstances. But by consistently doing your best, you avoid self-judgment, regret, and guilt. I mean, really, we could stop here. It's so brilliant. So we don't always know what others are going through. And we've all had moments where we have acted out of character. That's part of being human. Sometimes our emotions feel really big and they can spill over into our interactions. And it is a reminder to offer grace to others just as we would hope to receive when our feelings get really big and spill over. Sure, we could argue that what someone else is going through isn't our problem, but there's clearly plenty of that mindset in the world. I prefer personally to be more open for some understanding and giving the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not implying that we should subject ourselves to anything. If we have solid boundaries in place, we'll know the difference between having a bad day or moment or a pattern of behavior. So here are 4 ways to manage the influence of the fire element. Number 1, choose with care who you spend time with and the quality of your conversations. Are they uplifting or draining you? Spend time with motivated people that have conversations about what's possible. Number 2, be mindful of the content you're consuming. The brain, again, doesn't distinguish between real and imagined events, so watching something upsetting can trigger emotional and physical responses as if it were happening to you. So while we can't always avoid it, we can certainly limit our exposure to it and choose content that uplifts and brings joy. Number 3, intense emotions can spread like wildfire. When things get heated, take a moment to breathe and create some space before responding. A walk or sitting outside can really help the conversation. Movement and nature are great neutralizers, leading to more thoughtful communication. Number 4, avoid venting. While venting might offer temporary relief, it often does more harm than good. So whether you're venting or listening to someone else, it keeps the issue alive and can intensify it. Adding frustrations or agreeing with the complaints only stokes the fire. Instead, the best way to support ourselves or others venting is to have listening that is without fueling the emotion. So calm responses like, "I'm sorry you're going through this," acknowledges their feelings without escalating. Suggest taking a walk or grabbing coffee to focus on what is going right, or discuss the changes they like to make, shifting the conversation towards solution and a brighter future. And be aware of the person that is willing to let you vent and is only making you more agitated. We're witnessing extreme reactions where people lose their temper over seemingly minor issues, but the outbursts aren't about that moment. They really reflect a person's struggle to regulate their emotions. Without the right tools, these emotions can build up like a pressure cooker, and then the tension finally boils over. When we develop healthy outlets, we can manage the pressures more efficiently, and building self-awareness helps us find healthier ways to release that pent-up energy. So here are 3 ways you can extinguish the fire. Number 1, of course, is water. Shower, bathe, and allow yourself to linger there in the water. If you're in a group setting and showers aren't possible, excuse yourself and wash your hands and maybe splash some cold water on your face and take a minute. Sit by the water. If you don't live near any, you can go on YouTube. There are live cams and videos of hours-long water scenes and locations from all over the world that can make you feel like you're there. And finally, swimming. Number 2 is exercise. These are suggestions, so please consult your physician to know what's right for your specific needs. Running, biking, or high-intensity workouts burn off a lot of that excess fire energy and calm the mind. However, they can impact sleep, so I would avoid doing them later in the day. Movement is really all that matters, so walking, dancing, sitting in a chair, and moving your arms around are other excellent options. And if that's not possible, visualizing movement is also really powerful. The brain, again, it does not distinguish between real and imagined. Number 3, breathing exercises. Deep, mindful breathing calms the nervous system and releases that built-up tension. And don't overthink it. Just sit in a quiet place and focus on your in-breath and then on your out-breath. And with each out-breath, allow one part of your body to relax at a time, starting with your jaw and working your way down to your feet. Continue doing this until you feel your entire body settle in, and sit for as long as it feels right. Keep in mind, adrenaline floods our system in moments of fear, anger, passion, and excitement. It's fire energy looking to be released. So by practicing self-awareness and using the right tools, we become the gatekeepers of our emotional state. We hold all the power and make all the choices. By incorporating the 4 agreements, being impeccable with your word, not taking things personally, not making assumptions, and always doing your best, we help ourselves maintain emotional balance, allowing us to constructively channel fire's passion and energy rather than letting that fiery emotion overwhelm us. We learn to call in that spark of motivation, creativity, and drive while maintaining our steady emotional center, supporting healthy relationships and personal fulfillment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on the 4 elements and learning to navigate and leverage them from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to talk about the water element and its impact on communication. Our bodies are made up of around 60% water. It's no surprise that the water element profoundly influences our emotional body and how we connect with others. When too much of the water element influences communication, it can become unclear or overly emotional, leading to misunderstandings or difficulty expressing our thoughts clearly. However, too little of the water element can result in that emotional disconnect or lack of depth in conversation, making it harder to connect on a personal level. A healthy balance of the water element allows for smooth communication and meaningful interactions where both parties feel heard and understood, allowing for openness and that emotional connection. Personal relationships require a different approach than personal or casual ones. While some misunderstandings can be easily overlooked, others need our attention and effort to resolve. We've all been there in the professional setting. That frustration of poor communication is a shared experience, and its impact can be significant. Receiving the wrong deadline, the wrong time for an important meeting, or a missing critical detail for a project can lead to consequences. Maintaining a forgiving mindset is definitely a challenge, especially when it reflects poorly on us. We can get caught up in thoughts that don't serve us, like believing it was done intentionally to make us look bad. It could just reflect the person's poor communication skills. Personal relationships with family or friends are usually built on trust and understanding. We're invested in them and want a peaceful resolution. In these relationships, we're more willing to give the benefit of the doubt and be more understanding. We get caught up in trying to understand why. But here's the positive: we don't need to understand why. What matters is recognizing what we're experiencing and making the necessary adjustments. Unfortunately, people do all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons, and we waste so much time trying to understand why and usually never find an answer that is really truly satisfying. The important thing to remember is we're only responsible for ourselves, and what others do or why they're doing it is irrelevant. So here are 5 ways to spot and manage poor communication in professional relationships. Number 1 would be inconsistent or vague information. Notice when the details change or seem unclear and simply ask, can you clarify this so we're both on the same page? Number 2 would be lack of follow-through. If direction or responses are delayed, you can ask, what needs to be done next? I want to make sure I'm clear. Number 3 would be defensiveness or avoidance. When someone avoids questions or gets defensive, you can ask, is there something I can do to help make this easier or clearer for you? Number 4 would be overcomplicating simple topics. When explanations are long and feel all over the place, you can say, I apologize, but I am not following. Can you clarify this for me? And number 5, frequent misunderstandings. When poor communication has led to confusion in the past, it is absolutely acceptable to ask, what are we trying to achieve? I want to make sure we don't repeat any past mistakes. When our intention is for things to go smoothly, asking the right questions help maintain that flow. Being direct prevents potential problems regardless of the element at play. Recognizing the issues is vital, otherwise we end up putting out the fires poor communication can create. By identifying patterns and anticipating where confusion might occur, we can ask the right questions and prevent misunderstandings before they happen. Understanding the influence of water helps us manage relationships we don't choose and gravitate towards the ones we do when that communication is balanced. So here are 5 ways to handle others' poor communications in personal relationships. Number 1 would be pay attention to patterns. Do they frequently leave out key details or misinterpret information? You might ask, can you clarify what you mean? It encourages them to share more. Number 2 would be nonverbal cues. So look for inconsistencies between what someone is saying and their body language. If they seem uneasy, you can ask, is there something you want to talk about? And it opens up the conversation. Number 3 would be listen for uncertainty. If what they say is vague or confusing, ask if they can give you an example to help you better understand. This encourages them to collect their thoughts before they're speaking. Number 4 would be avoidance. If they avoid difficult topics, you can ask, is there a reason we haven't discussed this? It helps to bring underlying issues to the surface. And finally, number 5 are emotional triggers. Pay attention to when emotions run high in conversations. You can say, I see that this subject is upsetting you. What am I missing? And it shows compassion. Looking for what's not being said is just as crucial as listening to what is being said. Getting ahead of misunderstandings prevents problems from escalating and strengthens relationships. Effective communication is how we survive in professional, personal, or casual encounters. Think about how much conversation happens daily. A lot can go sideways if we don't communicate clearly or ask the right clarifying questions. We can't control others' communication skills, but we can make it a habit to ask the right questions to avoid assumptions. If we have caused stress or inconvenience for somebody else, we can diffuse the situation by owning our mistakes and offering to make it right. When people are angry, they become the fire element. Our apology is like pouring water on that fire and can usually calm the situation down, opening the door for resolution. When approaching conversations with flexibility and calmness of water, we allow space for empathy. Just like water finds its way around the obstacles, a mindful approach to communication reminds us to listen deeply and speak thoughtfully, and embrace the natural ebb and flow of our exchanges. Strong communication carries meaningful messages. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're looking at the importance of maintaining our emotional balance and the water element. Apart from being in relationship with others, we're also in a relationship with ourselves. So our emotions act as a guide, and how well we manage them dictates our level of emotional health. We experience a range of emotions, but that's what makes life feel rich, and we must love and accept all of them. Otherwise, we create imbalance. Have your emotions, or your emotions will have you. The positive side of the water element teaches us to allow our emotions to move freely without resistance, allowing us to process and release them in a healthy way. We've all had life-defining moments that cause pure joy or profound sadness. And these moments become a timestamp we can associate with for life and make decisions based on them forever. A healthy exploration allows us to examine whether we're being held captive by an emotion rooted in the past or allowing for our current reality. As I mentioned in a previous video about the fire energy directed at us, the limbic part of our brain stores reactions and strengthens memory formation, making us more likely to remember an experience and be influenced by it. The healthy question to ask is, which is it? If we're honest and get quiet, we know. Are we experiencing this new emotion for what it truly is now? Or have we drifted to the past to gather what it felt like then? We evolve and grow into more of who we're meant to be when we process each experience for what it is. Take the lesson and move on. We can all think of somebody who can't let go of the past. And not only are they stuck, but they won't allow anybody associated with it to move on either. This brings up the topic of boundaries. We can't talk about emotional health without addressing the importance of boundaries. Many of us believe we have solid ones, but if we consistently make exceptions and then feel resentment, they're not as strong as we think. When a line for our boundary moves, it creates confusion for others. Saying yes and then becoming frustrated sends mixed signals. People can ask a lot of things of us, but we have the power to choose our responses. It's not their responsibility to uphold our boundaries, it's ours. Here are 4 ways to honor your emotional body. Number 1, tell the truth. This strengthens our emotional well-being, and then we begin to trust ourselves more and experience a profound sense of alignment. Number 2 is say yes, but only when you truly mean it. This allows you to engage in relationships and activities that genuinely resonate with you. Number 3 is say no, but don't feel the need to over-explain. This brings a deep sense of relief and a feeling of empowerment. Number 4 is, again, have boundaries. Clear boundaries allow us to assess situations quickly and make confident decisions. Again, it is important to know that if a boundary is crossed, it is us who have allowed it. It is not on the other person. What about others who may not have a healthy relationship with their emotions? Recognizing when others lack emotional balance and act erratically is essential for our well-being. Navigating these situations requires awareness and some compassion, but not to the degree that we don't make ourselves a priority. When we stay aware and prioritize ourselves, we can safely interact with them without getting pulled in by their emotional storm. Ultimately, we are each responsible for our own emotional health. No one can do this work for us. And while it's natural to want to support those we love and care about, we need to be careful not to exhaust ourselves, especially when they repeatedly struggle with the same issue. We need to recognize when our attempts to help are not being received in a meaningful way. This allows us to redirect our energy towards our own growth and emotional balance. So here are 4 ways to manage others' emotional imbalance. Number 1 would be to maintain calmness. Your stable demeanor can help diffuse tension and create a more supportive environment for them. Number 2 would be non-confrontational language. Be mindful of your choice of words and tone. Use I statements to express your feelings without sounding accusatory. So an example would be avoid saying things like you always. Number 3, be a safe space. Allow them to feel safe expressing their emotions without the fear of judgment. This can help them share their struggles without the need to defend themselves. And number 4, focus on solutions. Steer the conversation toward finding constructive solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Ask what steps they can take to improve their situation. This reminds them of the power they do have. As I shared in the video on water and communication, effective communication has the power to flow smoothly, carrying us into a deeper understanding, or it can become turbulent, creating ripples of misunderstanding. It can be tempting to say things in the heat of the moment, and while it might feel satisfying, it usually only escalates the situation. And it's important to remember what your intentions are. If you're looking for resolution, think before you speak. If you give in to the impulse, you can cause permanent damage to that relationship. Communication and emotions are deeply intertwined. When we're mindful of our words, we not only guarantee better communication, but also create a more stable emotional relationship. When we allow ourselves to feel and accept our emotions as part of the human experience, they flow through us more easily. But when we resist, they build up like restless energy, always seeking release. One of my spiritual teachers puts it like this: it's like trying to hold a cork underwater. It's impossible. When we respect the qualities of the water element and our emotional needs, we invite clarity, helping us navigate life's flow with grace. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series of navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to talk about how to recognize the water element in your environment. Mirrors, for instance, represent water because of their reflective nature. If you've ever been in a fun house of mirrors, you've experienced an overabundance of this energy. Your goal is to find the exit, but everything looks the same, leaving you to feel disoriented and unable to find your way, a lot like feeling lost at sea. But then there's that feeling of riding the wave of excitement. It's exhilarating when everything is just moving with its own momentum. You feel carried by it. So a healthy balance of the water element feels like the lazy river when everything is effortlessly in the flow. So here are 8 ways to recognize these items in everyday tangible items, and there is a PDF in the links below. Number 1 would be aquariums. They symbolize calmness and abundance. Number 2 would be mirrors. Again, these are great where energy feels stagnant. They can create that sense of flow by reflecting the movement, and they also help to make spaces feel a little more expansive. Number 3 would be glass items, and these include the windows. They create that sense of openness and transparency that makes spaces feel less confined. Without obstructions, we can feel more connected to the rest of the home and to nature. Number 4 would be fountains. Moving water represents the circulation of qi energy, and this is why we often see them at the entrances of homes and businesses. Their intention is to call in prosperity in all its forms. Number 5 would be water features like bird baths, pools, or ponds. They slow things down and inspire reflection. Number 6 would be the black and dark tone spectrum of colors, like your navy blues and hunter greens and black. They're associated with water because they represent that deepness. Number 7 would be wavy patterns that symbolize the water movement. So it can be in fabrics and textures. The pattern behind me represents this perfectly. So while there's no actual movement, you feel it, and unconsciously it is helping you to connect more with what I'm sharing. So for instance, if this wall were painted white, I and what I'm sharing might be lost in it. Number 8 would be artwork. Again, it brings movement into the space, and this type of art is perfect for small windowless rooms. Even an image of a window looking out on water, let's say, would help and dramatically change the feel of that room. So while there can be confusion and lack of direction where water is abundant, I love the reminder for water to stay fluid. We can become disheartened when we expect things to go a certain way and they don't. But what if the dead end or the detour was the best thing that could have happened? Staying open and going with the flow, we allow for magic and serendipity. Here's one example of why awareness of our space's active element is benefiting us. I've been in rooms where the entire wall has been mirrored, and this is amplifying everything happening in that space. In one instance, the room was filled with clutter. Clutter overwhelms the spirit. This also tells me they struggle to make even the most minor decisions. What wasn't obvious to them was that the mirrors were doubling the mess, making the problem feel even bigger than it really was. So before we can focus on desires and aspirations, we had to clear the clutter and address the confusion it created. Removing it made the space ripe for new energy and ideas to flow. Let's look at the living room, which is meant to be the heart of the home, a space for family to come together and create memories, or if you lived by yourself, a place to relax, unwind, and process your day. However, the living room is often now bypassed because of personal devices. So they become beautifully decorated but underused spaces. By introducing water elements, we can create that pull into the room like you would feel going to sit by the water. Here are 3 ways to use those tangible items to bring in the ease and flow of water. Number 1 would be water-inspired artwork, again, paintings or photographs of water scenes. Personal photos of water capture special days or vacations and allow us to relive those experiences and the bonds they create. Number 2 is water-inspired fabrics. Rugs, curtains, pillows, throws, anything with that kind of ripple or even a water-themed image will bring in that water element. Also, choose fabrics that are cozy and soft on the skin. This room is about being present and in the moment and should be comfortable. Number 3 would be adding decor and accents in the colors. You can do blue or glass items or even silver because, again, they have a reflective quality, which is why they're in the water family. Decorative items are always a great way to bring any of these accents in. You can also, if you had picture frames, you could display photos of your life or your family's life over the years so it creates the movement of that journey. So I'd like to shift our focus now to an area of life that is often overlooked but really shouldn't be, and that is creativity. We engage in the creative process from the moment we open our eyes each day. Our actions and decisions are either guided by our imagination or constrained by the lack of it. Feng Shui dedicates a particular focus to children and creativity, but its influence extends beyond adolescence. It's about cultivating a sense of playfulness and purity that enriches all stages of life. It encourages us to tap into our inner child and embrace the new ideas, keeping our lives vibrant and fulfilling. And I believe a lot of people's restlessness comes from a lack of creative outlets, especially as we age. We spend so much time being responsible, and it's easy to lose touch with our need to express ourselves. The popularity of paint and sip classes shows that people crave an outlet. They're willing to pick up a paintbrush and mix some colors together and let that experience unfold. It's not about skill. It's about allowing the soul to speak and connect to the joy of creating. How can we create that magic in our homes? You can choose a cozy corner or a room and dedicate it to creativity, a personal space to explore and express yourself freely. My sister from the age of 7 had a guitar corner. It was her space to call her own. She couldn't play the guitar back then, but the space called her in and she would practice, and she is now a Grammy-nominated artist. So here's 3 ways to encourage creative flow. Number 1 would be to choose items that spark imagination and creativity. You could have, statues or little pieces, figurines of sand castles. You could have sea glass or driftwood. They all represent a day wandering and being in the moment. Number 2, again, would be water fountains. You can choose one that fits the space. The movement and the sound create an atmosphere that inspires flow. If a fountain is not an option, then you could have wave sculptures or images of water and play those soothing beach sounds for that similar effect. Number 3, again, would be fish tanks. They clear the mind and help us to be present, and they're usually very playful. When you're watching fish, they can be very playful in the water. Again, you can choose one to fit the space, but if you're not up to the care associated with it, you can put an image of one. It will still hold that same energy. Many people tell me they're not creative and have no interest, which just means to me that their creativity has become buried over the years. We came out of the womb creative. We could pretend for hours and needed no help from the adults, and actually they usually kind of came and ruined all the fun anyway. So if the thought of having a space like this excites you, that's your spirit talking. Create it and make time for it without distractions, and set the intention and receive and see and journal what comes up. Creativity doesn't always mean producing masterpieces. It's about engaging in the creation process. And this could be especially helpful to an entrepreneur because your creative approach is what helps you to stand out. Even simple activities like painting by numbers can put you in a state of imagination. We're just looking to create the perfect conditions for inspiration. This is when the magic happens. When we invite the water element into our lives, we become reflective and embrace flow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. Today we're going to talk about the earth element and how it relates to our bodies. It's what connects us to the earth, grounding us in our physical experience. How do you feel about your body? How we feel about our bodies matters. It's our relationship that it affects how we view and see and are grounded in our daily experiences. When you appreciate and nurture it, you deepen your connection to the world around you. Our body is the bridge between our inner and outer selves, and how we treat it shapes the quality of our lives. The way we talk about our bodies carries that immense power, so harsh criticism creates that internal conflict that leaves us feeling disconnected and unworthy. When we speak with love and acceptance, we feel harmony between mind and body and our connection with ourselves. Even with physical limitations, we can choose how we perceive our bodies and their capabilities. Instead of focusing solely on what we can't do, we can celebrate what our bodies can do and its unique qualities. Making and keeping commitments to our physical well-being needs to be a priority. So we can set ambitious goals like I'm going to the gym every day this week, or no cake for me, only to be discouraged when we don't follow through or give in to the temptation. Self-judgment can quickly become that vicious cycle where unmet expectations lead to guilt and frustration. These repeated patterns, they erode our self-control and make it harder to trust ourselves with future goal setting. Ambition can sabotage, and while it might sound counterintuitive, it has crushed the dream of a lot of people. And it sounds dramatic, but if we believe ambition means that nothing will stop us from achieving success and we give up after a week, it's easy to fall into this false belief that we don't have what it takes. The pressure to achieve that overnight perfection leads to burnout and reinforces the idea that failure is a sign of our inadequacy, when really it's just part of the growth process. We often base our definition of ambition and success on what others have achieved, not realizing how many setbacks they may have faced along the way. When I was going through my, dark night of the soul, I felt utterly unequipped to achieve anything. And even when those around me who loved me tried to convince me of my potential, I was pretty sure they were just trying to keep me upright. It wasn't until I read the stories of accomplished people and learned their struggles, and I realized it wasn't the easy road that I thought it was. It was not a smooth journey at all. In fact, some of them overcame things that were even bigger challenges than what I had experienced. So while it's not a matter of who had it worse, it's about gaining a deeper understanding of a process. So ambition isn't a one-size-fits-all, and that's why our rigid definition can mess with our mindset. What I read in those stories were people who failed but tried again, doubted but kept going, were doubted but they ignored it. I was once asked in an interview who I admired, and part of that answer was me encouraging others to go and read the stories of the people they admired. To me, it's easy to see the success, but what was the road traveled to get there? For me, that's where the inspiration lives. I'm not known for having patience. Once I'm clear on what I want it yesterday. And I think that's true for a lot of us. And clearly, Amazon's success proves that we are all looking for some instant gratification. But we can't overnight a future goal. It requires us to slow down and take those necessary steps. So what does it have to do with the earth element and our body? If we don't care about our physical body or are unsatisfied with any area of our lives, the body responds to how we feel. We may experience anxiety thinking about our future or depression being focused on the past. We may also have strong feelings about goals we've repeatedly failed to achieve, which sometimes causes us to use our bodies to feel better. And that results in the overeating or ice cream and endless scrolling on social media. The key is finding the balance in the present moment and acknowledging what we have achieved. If you must give yourself credit for something, give yourself credit for brushing your teeth. Find anything. Some people don't, so you really are ahead of the game. What you should do is be setting realistic goals. So instead of declaring to go to the gym 5 days a week, say that you'll go 1 day a week. Doesn't mean you can't go 5, but you're not setting the bar that high. You can always increase it. So here are 7 ways to love your body. These are only suggestions, so please consult your physician to determine what's best for your specific needs. Number 1 would be to limit heavy foods. Reevaluate your diet and reduce heavy, dense food that can contribute to feelings of sluggishness and emotional heaviness. Replace it with lighter food that's more energizing. We can indulge in the food that we want, but it can't be part of our regular diet. Number 2 is stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water to keep your body functioning correctly and supporting that overall well-being. Our bodies are roughly 60% water. When we become dehydrated, our bodies lose the ability to function efficiently, causing fatigue, dizziness, and confusion. Number 3 is sleep. I could do a whole separate series on the benefits, but during sleep, our body undergoes a vital cleaning process, flushing out toxins, repairing tissues, and restoring energy. This is why sleep deprivation is compared to being intoxicated. Number 4 would be stretching. This is a great place to start. It improves flexibility and reduces tightness. I'd also say that for some, that's the only place to start if you haven't been active for a while. For some reason, though, people only do stretching when they're about to work out. I stretch my whole body as often as I can, and I feel it when I don't. You can search YouTube for videos on complete body stretches. Number 5, set realistic wellness goals. Things like allowing for a cheat day, so eat what you want, or cleaning up the food you eat versus going on a diet. And what can you do with the time that you have? Buy dumbbells, get some workout bands for the home if the gym is an unrealistic thing for you. Again, there's no shortage of people offering every imaginable kind of workout. I found somebody that is, doing workouts that help me to achieve the goals that I'm looking for. And I love my workouts and feel amazing when I love how I feel when they're done. And I verbally acknowledge myself for doing it. And then number 6 is to limit harmful habits. So things like, excessive alcohol, smoking, or vaping. I mean, the downsides are pretty obvious, and making these changes can be challenging and do require sometimes additional outside support, but the benefits are genuinely transformative. Number 7 is create a self-care routine. Set aside time for activities that feed your soul. This is very individual, and it's usually something you enjoy doing but always put off. Whatever that is, please make time for it. I'll leave you with this. Every experience we have, every moment we cherish is felt through this unique vessel, and we should not take it for granted. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the energies of the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to talk about recognizing the earth element in your environment. So while earth energy is grounding and stabilizing, too much can create a sense of heaviness, stagnation, and resistance to change. So for example, a room filled with oversized wooden furniture and thick rugs and maybe heavy stone potting can create a lot of dense feeling in the room and slow down the chi energy. Too little of the earth element in a room can make it feel incomplete and disorganized, affecting the ability to settle in and focus. So for example, a room with very little furniture and light or neutral colors, that might cause the room to feel very airy and cold. So a room with the right balance of the earth element feels warm and grounded. It offers stability and security, making anyone who enters feel that. Here are 6 ways to recognize them in your everyday items. There is a PDF in the links below, so you don't have to remember these. Number 1 would be natural materials, so items made from stone or wood, things along that nature. They hold obviously, that earth element energy in the room. Number 2 would be any earthly color, so beige, brown, the darker yellows, terracotta colors, and the muted greens. Number 3 would be square and rectangular shapes. So the solid grounded forms, they bring that feeling of stability and structure. Number 4 would be heavy solid textures like dense materials, marble, granite, thick woven rugs, or thick woven furniture. anything that provides that sense of permanence. Number 5 would be plants and greenery. So obviously pottery that is clay or ceramic, and you could have artificial plants. They do kind of hold the intention, but obviously, ideally, it would be live plants. Number 6 is earth-themed art of any kind. So landscape, paintings, pottery, or nature-inspired decor. A great example would be visiting a cozy ski lodge, right, or a cabin. These places instantly bring warmth and comfort, mainly due to the heavy use of the earth element in their design. After skiing down a mountain and being filled with adrenaline, the lodge's earthy wood tones and the beams and fireplaces would provide that perfect counterbalance to all that adrenaline. The natural materials connect us back to the earth when we're sinking into the oversized furniture. While spaces like log cabins or ski lodges can feel cozy and grounding during a retreat or a vacation, the dense, grounded atmosphere that feels so comforting in those short, temporary bursts could start to feel overwhelming if you had them on a daily experience. If your home were designed with this overwhelming amount of earth energy, you might have the best intentions to be productive, but lack the energy or motivation. Instead of getting things done, you'd find yourself going from the couch to the chair to the bed, and then leading to feeling frustration because even the simplest of tasks feels like a burden. And then you get frustrated because you're wondering why you can't get anything done when you have the best intentions. The earth element does remind us of the importance of stability, and it encourages us to slow down and reconnect with ourselves to create that foundation to grow. Like the earth beneath our feet, we should stay rooted in the present, but appreciate the rhythm of life. So here are 4 ways to ground a room. Number 1 would be to place a solid oak table in the room, like the coffee table, or if it were a kitchen table. The sturdy piece acts as an anchor, giving the room that strong foundation and that sense of stability. Number 2 would be large terracotta planters with plants in them. The terracotta material combined with the plant's rich earth just grounds that space by adding the earth's element and a connection to nature through living things. Number 3 would be to use a thick woven or just a bigger, more cushiony, denser rug. The natural fibers and that heavier tactile texture help to create that cozy, grounded feeling under our feet. And it also helps to absorb any of the energy or sound, giving the room a more stable, balanced atmosphere. Number 4 would be unobstructed views. If you have a private view of landscape, keep the view clear, avoid blinds and heavy curtains. If you'd like to add something to enhance the room, opt for curtains that frame the window, enhancing the room's design without blocking out that natural beauty from the outside. I want to acknowledge that everyone has their own decorating styles. If an oak table isn't your preference, consider other options. You could use the seating to represent that earth and then choose a table that's more in line with the type of table you'd like to have. If your style was more modern and you had a white room with a white couch and light colored floors and maybe glass tables, you could end up feeling like that room wasn't grounded or as if there weren't a safe place to land. So again, it might leave you admiring that room but not necessarily using it. You can decorate this way using Feng Shui principles, but it requires more of a conversation than what we're covering in this series. Most rooms that I've seen decorated like this, when it's not done from the Feng Shui perspective, again, they're not used, they're admired. We're consistently subjected to spaces outside of our homes, often designed for efficiency and durability, such as offices with sterile lighting and these rigid, hard surfaces. These environments do little to support and comfort our nervous system. That's why it is essential to give thoughtful attention to the design of our home. When done with care, our home becomes the place that replenishes us, as well as a design space that helps us feel whole, allowing us to recalibrate our connection with ourselves after being exposed to environments that might have drained us. Lighting is another excellent way to ground a space. And for anyone that's ever been in my home, they know better than to turn on what I call the big lights. Floor lamps, and I have floor lamps and table lamps with low watt bulbs to help create that warmth in my space. The lighting fixture over my dining room table has amber bulbs and is also on a dimmer switch. The kitchen is the only room in my house that has this obsession with high-hat overhead lighting. And there's, I believe, 7 in total. So when those lights are on, you feel like you're in an interrogation. You are just under this spotlight. And my body is so relieved when I finally turn them off. Lighting is often overlooked in a home, but it shouldn't be. Choose the floor lamps to instantly warm up a space. They also help to lift the energy in the room. So I recommend taking inventory of each room to assess how they feel. How grounded do you feel in each one of them? Pay attention to what your body's telling you. Today, many people design their homes based on trends, prioritizing the aesthetic as part of their brand. And I'm always curious about how at home they feel in these spaces. And I would even pass that question on to the other people occupying that space. Do they feel like they're part of a family, or do they feel like they're characters in the brand? The term grounding is frequently used and generally associated with the outdoors. However, it's just as essential to create an environment that grounds us. So add items from the earth element to bring that grounding feeling into your home. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to talk about the earth element and your emotional body. So when the earth element is in excess, it can leave us feeling stuck in routines that don't serve us. Emotionally, we might feel overwhelmed by responsibilities, like we have the weight of the world on our shoulders. Ultimately, an imbalance of the earth's element can limit our ability to express ourselves, which create barriers to growth. We can feel stuck and isolated, leaving us to feel disconnected from ourselves and others. When there's too little of the earth element, we can experience instability and a little bit of anxiety. The lack of grounding makes establishing solid emotional foundation challenging. So we might struggle with self-doubt and a lack of confidence. And it can also prevent us from developing emotional resilience, which makes it much harder to deal with the inevitable life's ups and downs. When grounded, we have a strong sense of self-awareness, allowing us to navigate thoughts and feelings with intention and clarity. The connection to our core helps us with thoughtful decisions rather than acting impulsively to external pressures. Grounding practices help us to stay present, appreciating the beauty of life as it unfolds. Maintaining emotional balance and stability is essential, especially in the midst of chaos. So here are 4 ways to eliminate that excess earth energy. Number 1, create space for change. Declutter your environment to remove the excess physical weight, especially if things you know you don't want or need. An organized space does reflect clarity and promotes a more adaptable mindset. Number 2, declutter your mind. So just as you would declutter your physical space, make time to sort through your thoughts. Journal or practice meditation. This can help clear that mental chatter and improve your emotional clarity. Number 3, take movement breaks. If you sit for long periods of time, take time to move. Get up, take a short walk, or do some light, simple yoga poses. This allows the chi energy, which is our life force energy, to flow. And number 4, stand. When we sit for long periods of time, we tend to hunch over, and this impacts our breathing, causing us to feel fatigued. So standing with your shoulders back and taking a few deep breaths helps to bring you to your present moment. I've invested in a standing desk, and when I am working, I know that it helps me to have better posture, which I know is helping me to just be more present for my work than if I were sitting. So in an earlier video, I discussed limiting the chaos of the outside world in our home, which also applies here. So we share this planet and all of its experiences that go along with being human. And I feel comfortable in assuming that the last 5 years have been particularly challenging for all of us. So I don't know how I would have managed if I didn't have the understanding that I do about navigating the feelings of disconnection that come when life feels emotional and heavy. When we pay too much attention to the outside world, we mentally invite that noise in and lose focus on ourselves. So getting caught up in celebrity gossip or political commentary can end up making us short-sighted, leaving us little to no energy for our own lives. So in the book, Loving What Is by Byron Katie, I had a moment of real clarity. So to paraphrase, it was the realization that if I'm busy minding everyone else's business, who is minding mine? And that blew me away. So the earth element is reminding us to be focused and grounded in our present moment. For every moment we spend other focused, we're not prioritizing our future. So here are 4 ways to lift your emotional body. Number 1 is practice gratitude. Focus on what you can appreciate in your life. Keeping a gratitude journal does shift your perspective and highlights the positive aspects, helping to lift that emotional heaviness. Number 2, limit screen time. Reduce the time, on these screens. It prevents that overwhelming feeling we can have. And instead, engage in activities that promote presence, like reading about something you're interested in, or just creating something. When we connect with our creativity, it opens us up to possibilities. Number 3, laugh. Watch comedy. Laughter is a powerful antidote to heaviness. And when we laugh, our bodies release endorphins, which are the chemicals that help improve mood. It reduces pain and stress and supports our overall immune system. Number 4, meditation and breath work. Both will help calm the mind, creating that sense of stability and balance. And if you struggle with meditation or have never done breath work, you can find plenty of free guided videos on YouTube. Let your intuition find the teacher that resonates with you. The goal is to be rooted in the present without losing our flexibility. We want to have the best aspects of the Earth's element into our lives, but avoid becoming weighed down by them. So be mindful what you're doing when no one's watching. I wasted many years talking a good game, but when no one was watching, my behavior contradicted it. So yes, the desire and intentions were there, and I wanted it to be true, but none of it would have materialized if I continued to avoid doing things because I was distracted. So it took me getting tired of hearing myself and feeling like a fraud. And it wasn't one single event that brought me to the mindset I have today, but a series of experiences. Looking back, I now see one key thing. I was not grounded at all. I didn't even know what the term meant at the time. I just knew I always felt better when I spent time in nature, so I prioritized it. By following my intuition and doing what felt good, I was grounding myself. So that's when everything began to change for me personally. That led me to becoming a certified Feng Shui practitioner. Going through that certification process, the floodgates opened and exposed me to a complete understanding of the elements and all they had to offer. So here are 3 ways to begin connecting to your desires and lifting the earth element. Number 3, clarify your goals. Clearly define what you want to achieve and make sure it's specific and measurable. Vague goals that cannot be clearly defined are just dreams. So they inspire us, but without taking action, they remain a dream. And if you don't have a clue about what it is that you want, follow your curiosity. Eventually, it will lead you to land on something that makes your soul sing. Number 2, stay flexible. Be ready to adjust your plan without losing sight of the overall goal. I once thought I had a really clear vision of my work, and I've lost count along the way of all the changes that I've embraced. But each adjustment was only improving the quality of my work, and I would have severely limited myself if I hadn't stayed open and adaptable. So, number 3, trust yourself. Don't let others talk you out of what you feel in your heart about your future. Your vision is yours for a reason. Only you can truly understand, and resist the urge to explain to everybody what you're trying to do. A few people who are dear to me do not understand what I'm trying to do, but I realize that I don't need them to. And adopting that mindset has let us all off the hook. So without grounding, we spend time on activities that don't align with our goals or prevent us from even knowing what they are. We end up frustrated by the lack of progress. Without that foundation, it becomes easier to lose focus. The more we ground ourselves, the more we build momentum and follow through with intention. Emotional stability is at the core of living an intentional life. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. Today we're going to discuss the air element and how it relates to our thoughts. Our thoughts are the only real truth, and sometimes the reality of something doesn't even matter if we don't believe it. The air element encourages us to be mindful of our thoughts and to speak our truth. When someone asks us how we feel about something, we can respond in whatever way we choose, but it doesn't mean we're telling the truth. There are valid reasons to keep our thoughts private, but if we consistently deny them, then we blur the lines between how we feel and what we say. We become committed to the lie sometimes, convincing ourselves it's easier than telling the truth. It may feel easier in the moment, but there's nothing easy about the toll it can have on us. Sometimes it's agreeing to keep the peace to avoid conflict. When we do that, we give a bit of ourselves away. Shadow beliefs are an area we need to look at. These are the beliefs we hold that might not even be ours. They usually form when we're children and stem from something the adults around us either believed about us or statements they might have made about us. So let's say you were an adventurous dresser and you put together this outfit that you thought was amazing and it was really creative. You might have heard that you had no sense of style. For some, that is game over. They shut down that creative part of themselves, and then they end up making really safe choices for the clothes that they wear as they grow as an adult because they've believed now that they don't have a sense of style. It's a big subject to unpack, but beliefs are simply thoughts we keep thinking. That's why they feel true. So the goal of working with the air element is to gently sift through these thoughts, identifying ones that are holding us back, and separate the fact from the fiction. Here are 3 ways to identify the thoughts holding you back. Number 1 is make a list. Write down the beliefs you know are holding you back, and then ask yourself why you believe them. Writing down your thoughts is important because it connects you to the process, allowing you to engage fully by putting the words on paper and seeing them reflected back to you. While your first response might be, I don't know what's holding me back, keep asking a question. And each time you do, you'll dig deeper and get to the root of the belief. Then you can ask yourself, is it true? Does this belief truly belong to me, or was it given to me? And once you have that answer, you can decide how to move forward. Number 2, reframe negative thoughts. So a negative thought might be, nobody cares about what I have to say. And the reframe could be, some people might not be interested, but others may value my perspective, and I just need to know the difference. Another thing I love to do is when I catch myself saying I can't or I haven't, I try to add the word yet when I remember. I haven't yet or I can't yet. I try not to allow negative thinking to go unchecked. Number 3 is neutralize obsessive thinking. When handling that obsessive thinking and panicking over the what ifs, trace the thought and write down the worst fears and ask yourself, what would I do then? Continue that exploration. Each time you'll have a different outcome, and you'll answer each question in a way that allows you to realize that you have the resilience to navigate any situation. I want to switch now to the thoughts others hold. While this is none of our business, how much airtime we give when listening to others whose thoughts are like a wild dog off leash is. So words have energy, and energy can be contagious. On the upside, when someone is beside themselves with laughter, we end up laughing and we don't even know why. It's contagious. Or you can have a conversation with somebody who consistently inspires and motivates you to be more. The vibe is high with them. On the downside, when someone is negative, we feel that heaviness and the heaviness of their words and end up being sucked into that negative energy. We may even try to help them see the positive side, but only met with more negativity. They just may always see the glass as half empty, so their vibe is low. The perfect analogy is for pulling somebody out of a hole, and the fact that it is way easier for them to pull you in than it is for you to pull them out. Ask yourself, what frequency do you want to operate from? The air element is about lifting our thoughts and carefully choosing what we focus on. Here are 3 ways to manage the thoughts of others. Number 1, distraction. If the issue is chronic and it's clear they're not interested in making changes, you might say, "I'm really sorry to hear you're still dealing with this. What can we do to take your mind off of it?" This shows your support while also letting them know that you're not willing to engage with this discussion anymore. Number 2 is just shutting it down. I understand we see it differently. Let's just move on. We're not labeling somebody as right or wrong. We're just setting a boundary. These conversations are a waste of time for both people. It becomes this tennis match where each person takes a turn trying to get you to understand why you see it incorrectly. And this does permanent damage to relationships. Number 3, make yourself unavailable. I have stopped giving my attention and talking about the things that don't make me feel good. I'd rather focus on what does and moves my life forward. If you stay committed to this, eventually they find somebody else to have those types of conversations with. A friend recently told me how she handled someone trying to hijack a group of people who had all just shared this lovely experience to talk about a political topic. She was not having it. The hijacker started launching into information he believed everybody in this group had to have. And she tried to discreetly walk away, but he grabbed her arm and said, "No, you have to hear this." Her response was perfection. She said, "No, I don't. I'm feeling really good right now, and I want to keep it that way." Brilliant. And I wonder how many in the group felt the same way, but decided to be polite and felt exactly the way she did. The thoughts we entertain profoundly impact our behavior and ultimately shape the quality of our lives. The heightened awareness allows us to operate at that higher frequency, helping us to attract more positive experiences and opportunities. So resist the urge to be polite for someone else's happiness. You're sacrificing the quality of your life in these moments. Staying consciously connected to the experience you'd like to have will help you to will allow you to politely remove yourself from any situation you'd rather not be experiencing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series on navigating and leveraging the elements, the 4 elements, from a Feng Shui perspective. And today we're going to look at air and its relationship to sound and creating room in your home to breathe. So let's look at sound as it relates to music. Heavy metal has a lower vibrational frequency that creates intensity and aggression. In comparison, ethereal music has a higher vibrational frequency and promotes calmness. Ultimately, both will influence our emotional and energetic states. So it's also it's important to pay attention to the nature of the conversations we're having. What are the reoccurring topics? Do they uplift and inspire, or are they dragging you down? And are the people around you introducing lower vibrational discussions that impact the frequency of the room you're in? Maya Angelou was a writer and civil rights activist, and she put it perfectly. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs and in your upholstery and on your clothes, and finally on you. So we can choose to close our eyes and look away from the things we don't want to see, but protecting ourselves from unwanted sound is challenging. We can't always control the music or conversations we encounter, which is why making intentional choices is essential. So if you were exposed for hours of the sound of a jackhammer outside your workplace, you'd feel agitated. However, if you made it a point to put on soft music for your drive home, you'd have that time to decompress. The air element encourages awareness of our auditory environment. So here are 3 ways to manage sound. Number 1, limit TV and negative media. It's important to stay informed, but we don't need to consume the constant loop of the same stories, especially when the commentators are usually promoting fear. And I've started reading newspapers instead of watching the news. I like absorbing the information at my own pace and in my own voice. Choose 1 or 2 trusted sources and stick to them. In the past, reading the top stories in a newspaper might have taken an hour at most. Set a time for how long you engage with the news before getting overwhelmed. Number 2, encourage silence. We are never unavailable. We used to have these built-in times to be alone with our thoughts. Driving was one of them before cell phones. So where can you make time for daily silence? You could put your phone on Do Not Disturb for your drive to and from wherever it is that you travel. Number 3, create a calm evening routine. Establish a wind-down routine at the end of the day that includes quiet activities or soothing music and conversation. Setting a peaceful tone for the night helps with our sleep. Before bed would not be a great time to discuss a stressful topic. Let's now shift to creating space for our things to breathe. We share our home with our belongings, and how much is too much is a matter of personal preference. Ask yourself, can you navigate your home without feeling obstructed? Your closet, is it easy to navigate, or are your clothes tightly crammed in? Deciding what to wear from a crammed closet sets the negative tone for the day, and we end up frustrated not only at the state of our closet, but with ourselves for letting it get that way. Now imagine walking in to an organized closet where everything you love and wear is easy to see and access. That's a much more positive way to start the day. Keeping what we don't need or want is like dead weight in our home. The closet is my favorite analogy because clutter can occupy places that we don't have to face, but the closet isn't one of them, and we sometimes enter our closet multiple times a day. And I wasn't surprised when Marie Kondo became famous for teaching people the art of tidying. When I enter a space, the first thing I do is look at how much stuff there is and what energy it's holding. I believe people loved watching her effortlessly do what some find impossible. Most don't even know where to start with clutter, so they don't. The subject of clutter could be its own series. An important thing to know about clutter is that it is always speaking to us from the garage, the basement, the attic, and behind closed doors. Out of sight does not mean out of mind. We can look at the door and be stressed about what's behind it. While it's a big subject, I'll share what I feel will positively impact your routine. Number 1, organize closets and dressers, removing clothing that no longer fits or you don't wear. If you have clothes you hope to fit into one day, consider how long they've been there and whether or not you're doing what you must to bring that day about. If not, let them go and make room for what it is you do enjoy wearing. Number 2 is entryways. This is considered the mouth of Qi and Feng Shui. It's where you and the life force energy enter. Would you like to be greeted by chaos or calmness? If you want to keep items like shoes and coats by the door, there are plenty of decorative ways to keep everything organized while enhancing the entrance. And then there's the kitchen, finally. Clear out expired food and organize your countertops and cabinets to make cooking smoother and less stressful. You will know what you have and you can easily prepare or think about the meals that you'd like to prepare. When you're not sure what you have, it's easy to end up buying doubles or not having what you need when you got home. So this resorts to ordering takeout or buying doubles, which becomes really costly and then is frustrating because, again, we're not as organized as we'd like to be. So I've heard many reasons why people hold on to their belongings, but none of them justify the negative impact. In moments that truly matter, no one's focused on their possessions. As I write this, it's been about a week since 2 major hurricanes swept through my state, and I've witnessed countless individuals cleaning up what remains of their belongings or coming to terms with the loss of their homes, recognizing that their lives are what truly matter and they still had them. We shouldn't wait for such moments to gain that type of clarity. So as I prepared to leave my home to stay with family members, I realized that none of my belongings might be here when I returned. I took a few essentials, and important papers and jewelry that belonged to my mom, all fitting into one envelope, and my suitcase. I felt at peace with leaving the rest behind. I could have stressed over my other possessions, but I couldn't do anything about that. So my practice of Feng Shui and the teachings of other spiritual teachings have helped me to cultivate this mindset, for which I'm really grateful. In closing, I want to revisit Marie Kondo's insightful approach to decluttering. She simply encourages people to hold an item and asks them if it sparks joy. It's brilliant because there's only 2 answers that will come to mind. You intuitively will either feel a yes or a no, and this makes it so much easier if you don't argue with yourself. So, keep what you love, let it fill your home with that intention, and give it the space it deserves to breathe. The rest is just stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, my name is Sharon Radigan, and welcome to our series of navigating and leveraging the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. Today we're going to discuss the air element and our emotional body. In a previous video on the air element and our thoughts, I emphasized the importance of understanding the quality of our thinking. Today I want to focus on how those thoughts can impact our emotional body. Our thoughts and emotions shape the quality of our lives and what we believe is possible, so they're either serving or sabotaging us. The air element asks us to think with our higher mind and not confuse it with the ego. One way to tell the difference is by how it feels in your body. The ego is primitive and is focused on survival. It's looking to keep us safe, but it often keeps us small. Our higher mind knows anything is possible. It acknowledges the fear, but it looks beyond it and focuses on the desired outcome. Behind anxiety lies fear, confirming the ego has entered the conversation. And I've learned to view my ego like a scared child, which helps me to have more patience with myself and my emotions. When I feel this way, I know it's time to create stillness and connect with my higher mind. I'm looking to live in this world without becoming entangled by it. So the following quote is from Eckhart Tolle's book, Stillness. When you lose touch with the inner stillness, you lose touch with yourself. And when you lose touch with yourself, you lose yourself in the world. So here are 5 ways to stay connected to your higher mind. Number 1 is meditation. Its focus is to quiet and calm the mind, connecting us with our deeper wisdom. I've been asked how long someone should sit for, and there really is no set time. Sit for 5 minutes if that's all that you have. There is a Zen proverb that says, if you don't have time to sit for 1 hour, you should probably sit for 2. It is highlighting the fact that it becomes even more important for that stillness when life becomes hectic. I have never personally sat for 1 hour in meditation, and how long I sit depends on the time that I have, but I do try to make time for something every day. Number 2, affirmations. Create affirmations for areas of your life you're looking to improve. It doesn't matter what you say, it only matters that you believe it. If saying my success is guaranteed doesn't feel true, then adjust it. Try saying I'm getting closer to achieving my success every day. When you affirm the core values of that affirmation, it reinforces a positive association with their intention, and we're less susceptible to fear taking over. Number 3 would be to sit in nature. It can teach us so much about stillness. Trees are rooted in place for hundreds of years, and they're able to grow and thrive. By focusing on their stillness, we can find our own. That would be a great time to question any fear that might be holding you back and make it easier to look beyond the fear. Go for a walk. Fear is concentrated energy. Movement will help release it. I love walking too because even if you live in a populated area, you'll cross paths with nature in one form or another. Walking in nature is a great neutralizer, and it's a great time to ask questions of the higher mind. You can say to yourself, what does my higher mind want me to know? And then allow whatever thoughts come through to be true. And if the analytical mind starts chiming in with all the reasons that you can't do it or others have done it and failed, you can simply say, I did not ask that question of you. Number 5 is journaling. Write down what you think you're feeling about things allows you to access the deeper parts of yourself. It's your place to release with honesty. And I've been journaling for about 12 years now. And often when I talk about journaling, I hear concerns from people about the journals being read and their emotions being exposed. So to me, it says to me that they feel emotions need to be suppressed. But as a result, they avoid speaking their truth and usually end up making choices out of duty rather than desire. But in the long run, those bottled up feelings inevitably rise to the surface. So if this feels true for you, write out how you feel and buy a shredder and just shred when you're done. You'll still get the benefits of that writing exercise. We transform by connecting with our higher mind and disconnecting from the ego. This connection empowers us. We become comfortable recognizing and releasing limitations imposed on us by the ego. We now have authentic self-expression, which does allow us to express ourselves without fear and judgment. Obstacles are now viewed as opportunities for growth rather than threats. Another important area to examine is our breathing. Chronically rushing through life and doing everything quickly increases stress and rapid breathing. The heightened state of urgency causes us to then snap at the people around us, and we're operating at this frantic pace. It becomes normal. Chronic rushing leads to high stress. The The heart of the issue is usually an unrealistic approach to our commitments. We try to do it all at once, but it takes its toll. This is particularly true for parents whose desire to meet everyone's needs results in an overly packed schedule. Connection to ourselves and our loved one suffers. The best approach in this situation is to reassess our commitments and time required to fulfill them. If we know we won't realistically have enough time to get from point A to point B, we are setting ourselves up for inevitable stress. Being realistic about our schedule will avoid that unnecessary pressure. The quality of our breathing is often overlooked and undervalued, mainly because it is automatic. We don't have to think about it. However, intentional breathing significantly increases oxygen levels in the body, improving our mental clarity. Dr. Andrew Weil, who advocates for integrated medicine, once said, "If I had to limit my advice on healthier living to one thing, it would be to simply learn to breathe." Slowing down allows us to be more present and in the moment. When we are present, we're less likely to forget things, and we can engage more deeply in our thoughts and our conversations. This mindfulness makes us more physically, mentally, and emotionally available. And as a result, everything we do becomes intentional and meaningful, whether it's a simple task or a heartfelt interaction. By giving ourselves time to focus, we enrich our experiences. The pace of life has gotten increasingly difficult, mainly due to the widespread promotion of things that can be done fast or quickly are what's valued. Fast food and instant messaging, so much is marketed as convenient, is because it is instant, and faster is better. As a result, we have unconsciously adapted this accelerated rhythm, matching the pace without even realizing it. So it's not that we made a deliberate choice to rush through life, but the influence seeped in, and we suddenly found ourselves caught in that hurried way of life. So whether you create moments of stillness or connect with yourself, slow down the pace to connect with those around you, and let it serve as a reminder that you are in complete control of life's pace. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, my name is Sharon Radigan, and today we're wrapping up the series on leveraging and navigating the 4 elements from a Feng Shui perspective. I wanted to complete the series by helping you understand how you fit in with all this information I've shared. Energetically, I wanted to teach you how to feel at home in your body. We can't avoid all the aspects that come along with being human, but we can learn to get out ahead of the emotional impact and have, no longer tolerating or enduring the experiences that don't enhance our lives. In astrology, each sign has an element that determines how it represents itself. As an air sign, I know I need to bring in the earth element to stay grounded. This doesn't mean the other elements aren't important. It's about understanding each sign's tendencies and bringing in that element that will offset it. The other elements will fill in the gap and are necessary to create balance. So here are the 12 signs and their tendency. Number 1, your fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo, they tend to burn hot. Bringing in the water element would help to cool them off. Number 2, earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, tend to be stubborn. Bringing in the air element helps bring in flexibility. Number 3, your air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, tend to be flighty. Bringing in the earth element, again, helps to ground us. Number 4, your water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, tend to be on the emotional side. Again, Bringing in the earth element would help to absorb all those watery emotions and help them gain perspective. The more you practice tuning into the world around you, the better you recognize what's at play and choose what's needed for balance. I observe what's happening around me, but I've learned reading the energies and trusting how I feel is more important. This awareness has made a tremendous difference. Let's use travel, for example. Whenever I find myself in a situation without a choice, I ask myself what's needed. I'm sharing that experience with others I don't know. But what I do know is that not everybody is happy to be traveling, and some might even have a deep fear of it. I know the water element, emotions, and the fire element, anxiety and agitation, may be heavily represented. That tells me that I need to bring in the positive aspects of the air element, sound, and the water element, going with the flow. I have my earbuds and noise canceling headphones ready. I put one earbud in as I maneuver the airport, and I listen to soothing music. Humming to yourself is fantastic if earbuds are not appropriate or you don't have them, and it can be done in a way that's not audible to everybody around you. Once on the plane, I put on my noise canceling ones and again listen to things that allow me to relax. I also allow my air tendencies to breathe by silently thanking the employees who showed up to work that day, allowing me to travel and make eye contact whenever interacting with them. I also silently ask that everybody traveling with me feel peaceful and relaxed. Understanding that energy is contagious, I'm aware that I'm not only making myself feel better, but I'm radiating that energy out to everyone around me. 98% of the time, I have really pleasant travel experiences. And for the other 2%, I surrender. I settle in. It is what it is. This example is just one of the ways we can work with the elements to make situations like traveling a little better. I presented the elements as I did to show how deeply they're woven into our lives. Each brings a unique influence that shapes our environment and our experience within it. I've also shared the ways it impacts the people and spaces around us. The elements teach harmony, and it's taught me that we can achieve that same harmony when we learn to work with them. The 4 elements appear in all ancient teachings because they represent the world of matter and offer a fundamental framework for understanding the environment. Before Google and experts, there was intuition, and our ancestors relied on instincts to survive and evolve. This intuitive knowledge lives within us and can be summoned when we quiet ourselves and trust how we feel and move in its direction. I've embraced that modern technology has a valuable place within the elements because it's made learning about these teachings more accessible. By learning to trust and respect the elements as our ancestors did, we can further our own personal evolution. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit my website by clicking the link below. Thank you.